Hey everyone! I thought it might be fun today, as long as we're in sort of and then we're talking about diminished chords. It might be cool to use, just as a few examples, some of the pieces that you guys submitted last week. I know we talked about maybe one of them in class on Friday, but I wanted to just elaborate on a few of them. Well, you probably just heard Jessica's tune. If you're watching this video and you're in the class, they only have two Harmony 3 classes. Many of you are in Jessica's class, and for those that aren't and don't know her, you should get to know her. She's a great composer. She's been playing and singing tunes in class all year. And so, in keeping with that tradition, I thought I know I kind of said I wasn't looking for original music, but it seemed like this was written before all of that, and Jessica kind of naturally used a diminished chord at one point that she circled on the lead sheet that I provide for you, like this. So as you were following along with the lead sheet, this is a beautiful tune. First of all, bravo, great song, great lyrics. This was a cool project. I hope you got an A on it. Um, Second of all, I the only thing that I disagree with, I think, as far as like how the chart is being laid out, is the key signature, right? If I am to do a Roman numeral analysis, like to me, this song very much seems like B flat is do. You know, to me, instead, I see why you'd say it's a key of E flat, because then you could say 5-4-1. But to me, I hear B flat as the pitch center, this as a modal interchange chord, and this as a 4 chord. All the strong beats start with B flat, or when we get to the diminished chord, G minor. You know, so if you're hearing do as instead of E flat, which is close to there, I mean, to me, that you got to call B flat 1. I know that makes this weird, but that's just a simple flat 7 chord, right? That's just like a subdominant minor modal interchange chord. Nothing too fancy about that, but so just watch your key signature. Why that's significant is because when we go down to here, right? If the key signature has a lot to do with our chord scale. So let's say we have an F sharp diminished chord, right? And for ease of things, I'm going to call it F sharp diminished 7, like so, right? This would be, if G minor is 6, we're going to call that a sharp 5, because we're headed in ascending direction. Sharp 5 diminished 7 chord. What's step one? And actually, grab a piece of manuscript paper and try and do this with me as I go through it. Remember, you have a key signature of B flat. And again, we have to say B flat because of what we're going to do when we fill in the notes later. If that's how we're hearing it, which I definitely am. We can talk in class if we agree to disagree on that, but I was. So you're going to write in the chord tones, F sharp, then up a minor third to A, then up a minor third to C, and then up a minor third to E flat, like that. Right? Now, there's going to be two notes in between that are diatonic, right? That's going to be G and A flat. Now, G is the only one that's diatonic, so in this key, so that's an avoid tone. Between A and C, you have B flat and B, so B flat is the one that's diatonic. There you go. Between C and E flat, you're going to have C sharp and D. Well, D is diatonic, and D is a whole step above C, so that's going to be an available tension. And are we done? No, we need to do one above the 7th. You have E flat, that's going to be E natural and F. So E natural doesn't fit within the key, F does. There's your chord scale on Jessica's tune. Now, technically, if it's not a 7th chord, then I guess you could say what you'd have to do is you'd block out, if you wanted to call it F sharp diminished, which is actually what's there, then you'd have a chord scale that looks like this, where these two notes would be the ones that fit, but we're not including the 7th of the F sharp diminished 7 chord, and the tension isn't a really strong available tension, so you'd call those two avoid tones if you wanted a triad instead of 7th chord. But I would, if you're doing the diminished chord scale, even if you want just a triad, fill in the chord scale as if it were a diminished 7 chord, so you don't forget to add notes where they're supposed to go. So anyway, there's one. Another one that came up was Ingrid's. This is going to be hard to see. I'll try and hold it up. No, we can see it. We're in the key of F, See how we have the inversion of an A major chord, an A flat diminished, and then G minor. So that's great. You're headed in a G minor is a 2 chord. This is a half step above. This is now a diminished chord that's approaching from above, and hence she's absolutely right to call that a flat 3 diminished 7th chord. Now, a flat 3 diminished 7th chord, the reason it's flat 3 is because we're headed in a descending direction. Remember the sharp 5 diminished 7 chord. That's headed in an ascending direction, so it'd have to go that way. So, with all that, start with your key signature of F, and do this with me as I go. The chord we're looking to write a chord scale for is A flat diminished 7, which needs a Roman numeral because it's a chord scale of flat 3 diminished 7. Within the key signature, let's fill in the notes of an A flat diminished 7 chord. So A flat, don't forget accidentals where needed. C flat. You know, I'm going to call it B, natural, because I like it better. D, and F. So all minor thirds, something like that will do just fine. You could call that C flat. That's like more right, but then you're also going to have a problem when you get to D. Like at some level, like if they're not all written in thirds of a triad, that's kind of okay for the sake of this because the math isn't always going to work out. Because it's an 8-note scale, it's not going to work out where it's going to be line space all the time anyway. So enharmonically, things don't matter so much. A flat, if you're going A flat, A, B flat. Now, A and B flat, we have a problem here, right? Both of those notes are diatonic. You have A and B flat, right? So which is closer to the key of F, A or B flat? The 4, B flat in the key of F, that's an avoid tone. Or A, which is right in the key. I'd say A is closer because that's the third. That's a chord tone in F major. So let's do that. Now B flat, you're going to have C, and you're going to have C and C sharp. C is the only one that's diatonic. Let's fill that in. D going up to F. D, you have E flat and E. Well, E is within the key, so let's fill that in. And we're not done. We got to add a note above the 7th. You have F sharp and G. G will work. So there you go. Diminished chord scale, right? I'll hold it up almost a little bit more so you can see what it is. The most important thing, it is like cool to say this. If you want to. But the most important thing for me, I just put T's on the available tensions in 1, flat 3, flat 5, and double flat 7. But honestly, the big important thing when it comes to chord scales of the diminished scales is basically what's filled in and what's not. Like what's available and what's not. So I guess this is now the complete chord scale with all of those other things there. Like the 1, the S, the flat 3, the S, and the flat 5. So just one more quick example that came in the 5 o'clock class. If I have it. Do I have it? Oh, yeah, I do. The title didn't make the cut here. But this is Someday My Prince Will Come. Someday My Prince Will Come. Excuse my voice. And here we have a... Look at this. This is actually kind of interesting because for whatever reason on this lead sheet, D minor, C sharp diminished, C and F, D, D flat diminished, C and F. I don't know why the enharmonic was different both ways. That's a little bit weird. But like, let's say, so because the enharmonic's different, is this sharp 2 diminished 7 and is this flat 3 diminished 7? That's 3. This is a C sharp. C sharp is scale degree like sharp 2. So is this sharp 2? And this is scale degree flat 3. Is this flat 3? No, both are flat 3. Why? Because both are headed in a descending direction. You need to go lower. The flat sign basically says you need to go lower with that chord in order to make that chord scale happen. So we have a key signature of B flat. I'll just do that one real quick. So start with the key signature of B flat. Right? You're in B flat major. The chord is going to be, I'm going to call it C sharp diminished 7 and call it flat 3 diminished 7 just to make my point. That's exactly how that should read. You're going to write in what are the notes in the C sharp diminished chord. C sharp, E, G, B flat. What are the two diatonic notes between C sharp and E? D and E flat. So D is a D and E flat are both in the key again. Look at that. So D and E flat are both within a B flat major scale. They both fit that key signature. So what's closer to the key of B flat, the overall key? What's closer, D natural or E flat? I would say D natural. Between E, so we did that. Between E and G, you have F and F sharp. F is in the key. That's an avoid tone. Between G and B flat, G, A flat, A is A is the note. So we fill that in. Between B flat and C sharp, B flat, B and C is available. So we do that. So you got 1, you got flat 3, you got flat 5, you got double flat 7. You have an avoid tone, a tension, and a tension. I'm not caring too much about calling the tension names because what are you going to call this one? Tension 14? I don't think so. That's too weird. So we're just going to call it available tension. That is good enough. That is acceptable. That's officially acceptable in our harmonic system. So that's what I would do. So yeah, those are 3 examples from your repertoire. Thank you for all that submitted. Sorry, I probably won't go over all the rest of them. But in the class we're about to have right now, if you have questions about yours, and I actually remember a few of them that I might bring up in class, but if you remind me, if you want to talk about your specific tune, let's talk about it in a moment when you join the class. Thanks, everybody. See you in a minute.